All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're peeling back the psychological layers to reveal a pretty fascinating truth. We're going to look at why the loudest, seemingly most self-assured people in the room, well, why they might actually be hiding the deepest insecurities.
Think about it for a second. Have you ever met someone who just seems absolutely unshakable? You know exactly who I'm talking about. That colleague who never ever sweats a massive presentation, or the person holding court at a dinner party with total unwavering authority. Zero self-doubt. On the surface, they look like the literal definition of success, and you can't help but think, wow, they just have a natural gift.
But what if your gut is telling you something else? Psychology actually tells us that this natural gift is very often a carefully constructed performance. It's not innate confidence at all. Instead, it's a hidden internal mechanism used purely for emotional self-protection. The absolute loudest displays are usually just a smokescreen, masking the deepest internal doubts.
Psychologists actually have a term for this. It's called the social mask. You see, people rely on this mask when they just haven't done the internal heavy lifting to build a strong sense of self. To avoid feeling emotionally exposed, they project this bulletproof image of total certainty. It acts as a psychological shield, protecting their ego from the absolute terror of being judged as inadequate.
So let's look at Section 1, the illusion of confidence, and how people are hiding behind the mask. To hide those massive insecurities, which, by the way, usually revolve around intelligence, appearance, or social skills, they build a giant wall. They project this fake independence, constantly using busyness and emotional distance to look totally self-sufficient. They desperately want you to think they don't need anybody. But true connection, it requires the exact opposite. It literally requires letting people see the real, messy, unfinished version of yourself.
So, why choose the distance? Psychologically, this fake independence is driven by a profound, deep-seated fear of rejection. To them, admitting they need love or support feels incredibly dangerous. They are absolutely terrified of letting anyone see who they really are behind that mask. And honestly, this is exactly why some people will suddenly pull away or even completely ghost you the very second a relationship starts getting genuinely close.
Moving right along to Section 2, status versus true value, let's figure out where this confidence actually comes from.
When you break down what actually fuels someone who's just performing confidence, the numbers are wild. A massive 70% of their drive comes purely from social momentum and trends, and another 20% leans on status and expensive things. That leaves a measly 10% for actual genuine interest. That means the shiny Rolex or the loud bragging, it's not passion, it is practically armor. Their confidence is entirely dictated by anticipating being seen as successful by others, not any real internal drive.
Now flip that and look at real confidence. Think about a time you actually mastered something. It usually involves a really boring, repetitive, and super frustrating process of learning, right? Genuine confidence is built in those quiet, unglamorous moments of hard work. But the fake confidence crowd, they tie their worth entirely to their image. Looking successful is way more important to them than actually becoming valuable. And since their self-worth relies completely on the fleeting opinions of other people, it leaves them deeply, deeply fragile.
Digging deeper into that core, we hit Section 3, protecting the fragile ego and the defensive shield. When your whole identity is just an image, protecting that image is literally a matter of psychological survival, and the behavioral loop this triggers is fascinating. Because they secretly struggle with self-hatred or this nagging feeling that they're a mistake, even a tiny, totally normal piece of criticism sets off a bomb. It sparks immediate defensive anger or withdrawal, which then quickly pivots into shifting the blame onto bad luck, a boss, a partner, you name it. They will do whatever it takes to protect that perfect identity.
Here's the thing. True adulthood and true confidence really only begin when you stop shifting the blame and face uncomfortable truths. A genuinely confident person can separate feedback from their core identity. But the fragile social mask, it just can't handle it. Every piece of feedback feels like a direct personal attack. So they oversimplify the details and they dodge responsibility. Every single time.
This brings us to a really interesting behavioral tale in Section 4, the power of silence and controlling the narrative.
We tend to mistake quietness for low confidence, right? But the reality is completely backward. People who are just performing confidence view silence as a massive threat to the image they're trying to control. Picture an awkward pause in a high-stakes meeting or a first date. They feel this frantic, desperate pressure to fill the air.
Meanwhile, someone with genuine confidence is completely chill with the pause. They take their time, they choose their words carefully, and ironically, that gives them a much stronger, more grounded presence in the room.
So, if we completely strip away the noise and the mask, what does it actually take? Let's look at Section 5, Building Genuine Confidence and Surviving the Fall.
First, we really need to internalize this fundamental psychological truth. The loudest displays hide the deepest insecurities. Next time you see someone aggressively fighting to prove they're the smartest or the absolute best, just remember, they're usually fighting the hardest internal battles just to believe it themselves.
Real confidence isn't about being the loudest or the most flawless person in the room. It is built, brick by brick, on a foundation of experience and hard evidence. It's about honing your personal skills, taking actual responsibility, and, this is crucial, having the ability to survive challenges and failures without completely losing your focus. You just don't need a heavy mask when you're standing on a solid foundation of real hard-earned skill.
Which leaves us with a pretty critical question to ask ourselves. Are you chasing the quick, emotional excitement of projecting a shiny new image? Or are you doing the boring, difficult work of building real skill? Because I promise you, once you stop chasing the image and start putting in the actual work, the need for fake confidence just entirely disappears.
Take these insights with you into your week. Once you understand the hidden psychology of fake confidence, it will absolutely change how you view everyday behaviors. You're going to start noticing subtle truths that everyone else is completely blind to. But it does leave us with one final, kind of uncomfortable question to consider. The next time someone absolutely dominates a room, are you hearing true confidence or just the echoing volume of their social mask?